If we ever get married, he'll be lucky if I don't cheat. That was what she said, loud enough for everyone at the family barbecue to hear. The laughter that followed wasn't real. It was the kind of brittle, awkward noise people make when they don't know where to look. I just stood there, holding the spatula over the grill, pretending to care about the burgers burning in front of me. My name's Evan, and that moment, those 10 seconds of silence after her joke split my life neatly into before and after. I remember the smell of charcoal, the warm hum of conversation that had filled my uncle's backyard just seconds before she opened her mouth. The kids were chasing each other with water balloons, my aunt was setting out potato salad, and my cousins were tossing a football across the yard. Everything had felt grounded, safe until it didn't. That barbecue was an old family ritual. Every year, on the last weekend of summer, everyone gathered at Uncle Ray's house. 3 generations under one roof, or rather, under one open sky, eating, drinking, laughing. It was a day about family, about roots, about belonging. The kind of day that made you think the world was steady. That love was something you could build and trust would hold. And that's what I thought I had with Lena. We'd been together for almost 2 years, living in my house for the last 8 months. I was 32, a structural engineer who spent his life designing skyscrapers that could withstand hurricanes. I liked the precision of it, the balance between pressure and resistance. My work was predictable, logical, safe, and for the longest time, I thought my relationship was built on that same kind of solid ground. Lena was the opposite of vibrant, spontaneous, the spark in every room. She loved to dance barefoot in the kitchen, to make up stories about strangers we passed on the street, to drag me into conversations with people I barely knew. My friends said she was good for me, that she brought me out of my shell. And maybe she did. She made me laugh, made me feel lighter. I believed in her. I believed in us. That afternoon, I was standing at the grill, flipping burgers while she sat at the picnic table, surrounded by my cousins and a few of my aunts. I could hear her laughter over the sizzle of the meat, bright and a little too loud. Someone must have asked about marriage because I caught the tail end of a sentence. So, when's the big day, you two? Then Lena's voice, playful but sharp enough to cut through the chatter. Oh, God, I don't know. If we ever get married, he'll be lucky if I don't cheat. Just like that, the air changed. The laughter around her faltered. My cousin dropped his beer bottle cap. My aunt stared at her plate. I didn't look up. I didn't even blink. I just stared at the grill, at the lines burning into the burgers, and tried to make sense of the sound of her voice, how casual it was, how she didn't even seem to realize what she'd done. After a long pause, she laughed again. I'm kidding, she said quickly, her voice too bright. Mostly. A few people chuckled, the kind of uncomfortable laughter that fades before it really starts. The conversation stumbled forward, but something in me stayed frozen. I could feel her eyes on me from across the yard, waiting for me to react, maybe to rescue her from the tension. But I gave her nothing. I just flipped another burger. Inside, though, I felt something unravel. It wasn't anger, yet it was disbelief, confusion, the slow, sickening realization that she might actually mean it. Later that night, after most people had gone home and the backyard had gone quiet, my Uncle Ray found me standing by the empty grill. He was the kind of man who didn't waste words. A retired firefighter, strong hands, slow smile, eyes that saw too much. I heard what she said, he told me. I nodded, not trusting my voice. "You're a good man, Evan," he continued, his tone even. "You build things that last. But that woman, she's not built the same way." I looked at him then, really looked, and saw that he wasn't angry for me. He was disappointed for me. "You want to go home, have it out with her," he said. "Yell, break up, demand an apology." He wasn't wrong. Every muscle in my body wanted to do exactly that. "Don't," he said quietly. "That's the game she's setting up. You blow up," she cries. Says it was a joke. You forgive her. And just like that, she knows she can disrespect you. And the only consequence is a little drama. I didn't respond. I just listened. The sound of crickets filled the pause between us. "A woman who jokes about cheating isn't joking," he said finally. "She's telling you who she is. The biggest mistake you can make is not believing her." I remember the weight of those words, how simple they were, how final. "So what do I do?" I asked. His answer came like the click of a lock. "You do nothing. You go home, act like everything's fine. Let her think she got away with it. While she's comfortable, you get smart. Don't get emotional. Get information." That night, I drove Lena home in silence. She tried to fill the air with small talk, but I barely heard her. I was busy tearing down the structure I'd built in my mind, the blueprint of a future that no longer existed. She thought my quiet meant forgiveness, but I was already planning the demolition. On the drive home, Lena finally spoke. Her voice was soft, rehearsed, like someone who had spent the last hour building courage in the mirror. "Are you mad at me?" she asked, staring out the passenger window. I didn't answer right away. The streetlights flickered across her face. Gold, then shadow, then gold again. "About what?" I asked evenly. She shifted in her seat. "You know what I said? It was stupid. I was just trying to be funny." She gave a nervous laugh, the same one she used when she was caught lying about something small, like forgetting to pay a bill. My sense of humor's weird sometimes. I smiled faintly. "It's fine," I said. "I get it." The relief that washed over her was almost painful to watch. She thought she'd dodged a bullet. She thought I was being mature, calm, understanding. But the truth was simpler. I'd stopped being emotional. I was calculating. That night, when she fell asleep beside me, I stared at the ceiling for a long time, hearing my uncle's words echo in my head. "Don't get emotional. Get information." For the next week, that became my mantra. I acted normal, better than normal, even. I made her breakfast. I kissed her goodbye before work. I texted her during lunch. I told her I loved her, and she believed it. She started acting lighter, sweeter, like she'd reset the balance between us. She thought the storm had passed, while she was getting comfortable. I was laying groundwork. I started by checking her phone, something I'd never done before. We'd always had an open policy with our devices, shared passwords, mutual trust. It had seemed romantic once, proof that we had nothing to hide. I realized now that trust is only meaningful when it's deserved. At first, I didn't find anything obvious. No incriminating messages, no flirty photos. But that was exactly the problem. There were gaps. Entire conversations missing, messages deleted mid. Her call log showed frequent calls to a couple of guys I barely knew, yet their texts were spotless. Like she'd been scrubbing them clean. A person with nothing to hide doesn't rewrite their digital history. Then I found something worse. A group chat. It was called the Escape Committee. It was her and her 3 best friends, the ones she'd known since college. I scrolled through months of messages, casual gossip, relationship talk, memes. And then I found the ones about me. They called me Mr. Blueprint. They joked about my predictable life, my routines, my love for structure. Lena wrote about how I was safe, reliable, and kind of boring. But the part that made my blood turn to ice came from a conversation just a day before the barbecue. One of her friends had asked, "Are you really ready to marry him?" Lena's reply, "God, no. But he's a great safety net while I figure out what I really want. He's like a mortgage with leg stability while I get my life together." Another friend replied, "Be careful, he's smart. What if he figures it out?" Lena's next message hit like a hammer. "He won't. He trusts me completely. I could probably cheat on him, and as long as I smile and say I love him, he'd believe me. He's just lucky I haven't bothered yet." I read those lines over and over. The barbecue joke wasn't random, it was a confession in disguise, a test balloon, and I'd almost failed it. I took screenshots of everything. Every line, every timestamp, every cruel laugh emoji. I stored them in a cloud folder she couldn't reach. That was my evidence. The next few days passed quietly. She kissed me good morning, texted me during work, told me she loved me before bed. Each time she said it, I felt the distance between us widen. Then one evening, she came home glowing. "Guess what?" she said, dropping her purse on the couch. "Emily and Chris got engaged. He proposed in Paris." She talked fast, words tumbling out of her mouth. "They're throwing a huge engagement party downtown in a few weeks. Everyone's going to be there. I need to find a dress. Oh, and you need a new suit." Her excitement was blinding. She didn't notice that I was watching her the way an engineer studies a collapsing bridge knot with emotion, but with precision. That night, as she scrolled through dresses on her phone, I had an idea. A terrible, perfect idea. A public humiliation wouldn't fix what she'd done, but it would end it on my terms. If she wanted to play games in front of people, then she could face the final act the same way, surrounded by an audience. I knew the event planner for the hotel where the engagement party would be held. My firm had worked with her on corporate events before. I called her the next morning. "I want to do something special for the couple," I told her. "A slideshow of memories. You know, pictures, music, something touching." She loved the idea. Sent me the screen specs, the timing cues, everything. For the next few nights, I worked in secret. The video started harmlessly photos of Emily and Chris. Their vacations, their parties, their engagement photos. Then, gradually, I blended in a few pictures of Lena and me smiling, holding hands, pretending to be perfect, and finally, in the last 30 seconds, the truth, the screenshots. Her own words. "He's a great safety net. He trusts me completely. He's lucky I haven't cheated yet." Faded across the screen, one by one. Set to a slow, romantic piano melody. By the time I finished, I realized I wasn't shaking. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't even angry. I was calm. The way a demolition expert must feel before pressing the button. The night of the engagement party, everything looked perfect. The ballroom shimmered with gold light. The kind you only see in movies where everyone's pretending to be happier than they really are. Laughter floated over the clink of glasses, and waiters in black vests moved like clockwork through the crowd. Lena looked stunning. A deep emerald dress, hair pinned just right, that perfume I used to love. She smiled at me, slipping her hand into mine. You look amazing tonight, she whispered. So do you, I said, and I meant it. Beautiful, yes, but fragile, too. Like glass right before it cracks. Halfway through the evening, the MC tapped the mic. Ladies and gentlemen, before we toast the happy couple, we have a little surprise video to celebrate love and friendship. Courtesy of Lena's boyfriend, Liam. Lena turned to me, her eyes wide and shining. You did this, she mouthed, thrilled. I smiled, the same calm smile I'd practiced in the mirror for days. Of course, the lights dimmed, the screen flickered to life. Soft music, a montage of Emily and Chris laughing, dancing, kissing under fairy lights. The crowd sighed, cooed. Lena clutched my arm, glowing with pride, her eyes misty. Then came the next section, photos of me and Lena. Our trips, our anniversaries, our smiles, her hand tightening on my chest in every frame. People turned toward us, some whispering about how cute we were, and then 30 seconds left. The music didn't change, but something in the air did. The first screenshot appeared. White text on black background. He's a great safety net while I figure out what I really want. The audience shifted, murmured. Lena's smile froze. Next slide, he's like a mortgage with leg stability while I get my life together. A laugh broke somewhere in the back. Quickly hushed. Next, I could probably cheat on him. And as long as I smile and say I love him, he'd believe me. Gasps now. Heads turning. The soft piano music kept playing, heartbreakingly gentle. Lena's hands flew to her mouth. Oh my God, turn it off. Turn it off. But no one moved. The MC was frozen, horrified. The projector kept rolling. Final slide. He's lucky I haven't bothered yet. Then a photo of us, me smiling, her kissing my cheek, text underneath, lucky me. Silence, a silence so deep you could hear the faint hum of the projector fan. Lena stumbled forward, shaking. Liam, what is this? Why would you finish watching? I said quietly. The video faded to black. The music ended, and the applause came not loud. Not mocking, just a few slow, stunned claps from the back. The sound of disbelief made audible. Lena turned on me, eyes glassy with tears. How could you humiliate me like that? She whispered. I looked at her, calm as ever. You already did that yourself. I just provided the lighting. Then I walked away, out of the ballroom, out of her life as the doors closed behind me. I heard chaos erupt inside, her voice breaking, people murmuring, the projector shutting off with a click. Outside, the night air felt different, cold but clean. I took a deep breath and smiled, not the bitter kind, the free kind. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like anyone's safety net. I just felt done. 6 months, that's how long it took for the storm to quiet down. At least on the surface. Lena's name disappeared from the whispers, the group chats, the sympathy texts. But for a while, she was everywhere. Screenshots, retellings, half-true stories that changed shape every time someone new told them. Some said she ran out of the ballroom crying. Others said she fainted. The truth, she didn't. She stood there, trembling, broken, and faced every single person she had laughed with minutes earlier. The woman who always had the perfect words suddenly had none. The next week, her job quietly let her go. Apparently, they needed to restructure. Really, They just didn't want the drama that came with her name trending in the company group chat. I didn't post anything after that night, didn't gloat, didn't explain. I deleted my social media for a while, went quiet, because the thing about revenge is when it's done right, it doesn't echo, it ends cleanly. I spent those months rebuilding, not just my life, my sense of self, moved to a smaller apartment near the river, bought a second-hand bike, started running in the mornings again. It's funny how peaceful life feels when you stop trying to prove you're enough for someone who treats your love like spare change. Then, one evening, I got an email. Subject line, please. Just one reply. It was from her, Liam. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I can't sleep without replaying that night in my head. I lost everything. I know it's my fault. But if you ever loved me, even a little, please tell me you don't hate me. I read it 3 times, not because it hurt, but because it didn't. She was a chapter. I was already on the next page. I typed back one line. I don't hate you. Lena, I just stopped believing you were real. Then I hit send. The cursor blinked for a second. And that was it, the last time her name would ever light up my screen. A few weeks later, I met someone new. Her name's Clara, a photographer I met at a friend's art show. She asked if she could take my picture because you look like a man who's finally learned how to breathe. And she was right. I smiled for the first real photo of my new life. No filters. No pretending. No past shadows in the background. For the first time, I wasn't trying to build something that looked perfect. I was just living something true.